On today's EFD video, we're counting down 10 completely misunderstood players. Whether they're being misused by their manager or having their game mischaracterised in the press, there are plenty of stars in need of a reappraisal. Let's get into it. 10. Lautaro Martinez. Though he ended 2022 a world champion, Lautaro Martinez's World Cup campaign will otherwise be remembered as a frustrating one in which he continually missed big chances and was swiftly dropped for Julian Alvarez. This has only added to his reputation as a centre-forward who scores spectacular goals but is unable to consistently put away the easy ones. And given he's scored 21 in Serie A last term, a figure only beaten by Dusan Vlahovic and Ciro Immobile, this is quite a reputation to have. But does it really ring true? After all, if he was that wasteful, he would consistently underperform his expected goals. But he doesn't. In fact, since the start of last season, the Interstar has performed exactly as XG would predict based on the quality of chances he gets. And this has largely been the case throughout his career. And while expected goals isn't everything, the locations from where he's scoring from are telling. His worldie against Liverpool in the Champions League may be one that stands out, but since the start of 2020-21, just 4 of his 48 goals across the league in Europe have come from outside the box. He may be prone to a dry spell, but this clearly has less to do with Lautaro's finishing ability than some may think. 9. Cody Gakpo. One of several players who became a household name in Qatar, Cody Gakpo is now on his way to Liverpool, who have beaten off interest from Manchester United and Arsenal in the PSV star. But once he arrives at Anfield, he may play a different role to the one he currently occupies. Gakpo plays almost exclusively on the left back in Eindhoven, which has led some to believe that his many suitors are targeting him as a winger. But in the case of Man United, this almost certainly wasn't the case. With Rashford, Sancho, Elanga and now Garnacho providing plenty of options on the flanks, spending more money on wingers would be foolish, and given he was originally targeted as part of a double swoop with Antony, it's clear Ten Hag valued him as a centre-forward. And while his creative numbers are excellent, making almost 5 key passes per 90 in the Eredivisie this term, he also takes over 4 shots. His versatility was no doubt a big factor in Liverpool's decision to sign him, with injuries having ravaged an otherwise stacked forward line at Anfield this term. Luis Diaz's absence may see him used on the left initially, but don't be surprised to see him utilised as a centre-forward in the long run. 8. Jadon Sancho. On the subject of Manchester United, Jadon Sancho has probably faced more scrutiny than any other Red Devils player this season. But while it's clear the Englishman's performances are well below what he previously displayed at Borussia Dortmund, you can argue his talent has been misused at Old Trafford. One area of his game which has certainly dropped off is his dribbling. He now completes less than a take-on per 90, beating his man with just 37% of his attempts, down from his 55% average over the past 3 seasons. This is seemingly down to a lack of confidence, but it's worth remembering that in 18 months at Old Trafford, the Englishman has played under 3 different managers, all with their own distinct styles of play, whereas at Dortmund, he played almost exclusively under Lucien Favre. At BVB, he was the main recipient of progressive passes, while at United, both Marcus Rashford and the now departed Cristiano Ronaldo are ahead of him in this metric. On the ball a lot less and receiving it in deeper areas too, Sancho is having to work harder to get into the final third where he is most dangerous. In 12 months' time, we should know whether Sancho works for United, but it will need a sustained period of coaching from Ten Hag's team to find this out. 7. Ollie Watkins. Aston Villa's troubles over the last 12 months are well documented, and Ollie Watkins has become the player most associated with their struggles in the final third. Like Lautaro Martinez, he became known for missing one-on-one opportunities, and his record of 2 goals from 14 league appearances before the World Cup was clearly not good enough. But it must be remembered that he's playing in a side that now generates the 5th fewest shots in the Premier League. Go back 2 seasons when he ended the campaign with 14 goals, and Villa were generating the 6th most scoring opportunities in England. Service is clearly an issue at Villa Park, with no one creating more than Emi Buendia's 1.6 chances per 90, while Watkins himself isn't a classic centre-forward, only moving in from the left at Brentford following the departure of Neil Maupay in 2019. Given Villa have finished the last 2 seasons in the bottom half, the fact Watkins ended both campaigns with double figures for non-penalty goals is not to be sniffed at. It's easy to become frustrated with a misfiring forward, but Villa fans should have more patience. 6. Christian Pulisic. One of several attackers to have seen their talents wasted at Chelsea, Christian Pulisic has made just 3 Premier League starts this term at the time of writing, while his attacking output looks pretty worrying with 0.29 expected goals and assists per 90 a career low. This has led to talk of a move away, but while injuries have also played their part, it's still strange to think that 3 different managers haven't been able to get the 24-year-old firing consistently at Stamford Bridge, especially after watching his talismanic displays for the USA at the World Cup. Some may simply think he's a bad fit, but the solution seems relatively simple: just play him in his best position. Pulisic is versatile, but that doesn't mean he should play a different role every single game. The last time he started in his preferred position on the left of the attack at club level was against Lille in the Champions League last season, a game in which he scored. And the last time he played there with any real consistency was all the way back in 2020, when he ended the season with 4 goals and 4 assists in 9 games. Whoever is his next employer, stick him on the left and the result should follow. 5. Andre Frank ZAMBO Anguissa. We might be slightly cheating with this one, as the general perception around Andre Frank ZAMBO Anguissa has shifted this season, but it took long enough. Signing for Fulham from Marseille back in 2018, the highly rated midfielder initially disappointed as the Cottagers spent all but 6 weeks of the season in the relegation zone. His class on the ball though was evident, yet despite this, his defensive abilities are often focused on most, especially last season at Napoli, when only Manchester City, Liverpool and Sevilla conceded fewer goals than the Partner-Pay in Europe's top 5 leagues. But while his 3.5 tackles and interceptions per 90 did rank him among the top ball winners in the side, it's his ability to drive forward Spalletti's side that makes him so crucial. A superb ball progressor, only Stanislav Lobotka beats him for passes into the final third in the Napoli midfield. But he's also confident enough in possession himself, attempting nearly as many dribbles a match as Hirving Lozano. And he's become an increasing goal threat too, with his 0.24 expected assists per 90 better than Piotr Zielinski and only marginally worse than striker Giovanni Simeone. On reflection, it's fair to say that Anguissa has always been more of a Gerrard than a Conte. 4. João Felix. An Atletico Madrid player was always going to make this list, and given he looks closer than ever to leaving, it feels right to look at João Felix. Much was made of the transfer fee north of 100 million euros that Atleti paid to Benfica when he was a teenager, and you can see why people have labelled him a flop ever since. But now more than ever, it's clear his talents have rarely been utilised by manager Diego Simeone. Very different from the array of more classic number 9s who have thrived for Los Rojiblancos over the years, João Felix is a roaming forward and in many ways a luxury player, something Simeone has never really tolerated during his reign, which begs the question why the club signed him in the first place. And given he was operating in a side that generated less XG than relegated Levante last term, the fact he averaged 0.69 expected goals and assists per 90, around the same as Tammy Abraham and Victor Osimhen, is pretty remarkable. Atleti's decline has been clear over the last 18 months, but João Felix still has a bright future. 3. Jack Grealish. A year and a half on from his move from Aston Villa to Man City, Jack Grealish still hasn't exploded at the Etihad, with just 4 goals and 5 assists from 29 Premier League starts under Pep Guardiola, a pretty poor return in the league's most productive team. But look under the surface and Grealish is still doing everything he's good at, even if he's no longer the talismanic figure he was for Villa. With Kevin De Bruyne as City's chief creator, Grealish's key passes per 90 have come down from 3.3 to 2.5, still good enough for second best in Pep's squad, and the same as he was managing before 2020-21. He also remains a great dribbler, with his 2 per 90 topping the squad, while he ranks first for fouls drawn, winning almost 3 each a game. 28 next year, Grealish may not represent the future of City in the same light as Phil Foden and Julian Alvarez, but he remains the same player he once was and an asset to a side which has evolved heavily over the summer. Once KDB inevitably slows down, it will be Grealish who picks up the mantle first. 2. Harry Maguire. The debate around Harry Maguire has grown stale, but the World Cup did at least dispel one myth surrounding the English defender. Since his steep downturn in form at the beginning of the 2021-22 campaign, something he still hasn't fully recovered from at club level, the Man United captain has been accused of being unable to play in a back four. This assumption mainly came from wistful memories of his performances at Euro 2020 and the 2018 World Cup, both tournaments in which he excelled primarily at the centre of a back three. But it also conveniently ignores his excellent period at Leicester and impressive first 2 years at United, in which he was exclusively part of a back four. Rather, it was when he was moved from his preferred position as a left-sided centre-back, where he can progress the ball to the middle of the park more effectively, to the right side that he began experiencing problems, often caught out trying to cover for Dalot or Wan-Bissaka and leaving swathes of space for the opposition forwards. It was also telling that Maguire, who likes defending on the front foot, fared much better when alongside Raphael Varane, a more reserved operator who possesses the pace to cover for him. him. It's perhaps no wonder then that his partnership with the even more aggressive Lautaro Martinez was such a disaster at the start of the season. 1. ADRIEN RABIOT. A bit like the aforementioned ANGUISSA, ADRIEN RABIOT is a far more well-rounded midfielder than most give him credit for. And given the level of disdain that Man United's approach for him was greeted with in the summer, you'd be forgiven for thinking he wasn't very good. But factors including his reputation for being a difficult player off the field, and Max Allegri's decision to previously play him out of position has taken some shine off an impressive career. After all, at just 27, Rabiot has been playing Champions League football for a full decade now. And 2022-23 has so far signalled a remontada for the Frenchman, who already has 5 goals and 2 assists in the league and Europe, and is creating nearly as many chances a match as Angel Di Maria, looking just as strong at both ends on the pitch. And after refusing to go on the standby list for the 2018 World Cup, he has since made up with France manager Didier Deschamps and filled in for Paul Pogba superbly in Qatar. We think it's time for a rethink on Rabiot. So that was our look at 10 of the most misunderstood players in Europe. What did you make of our list? Who do we miss out? Let us know in the comments down below. If you haven't already, like the video, subscribe to Eurofootball Daily and smash the notification bell, and we'll see you next time. Bye bye.